attention to all hands.
Hello, you're listening to the podcast. So there I was, which is how all great aviation stories begin. And this is episode number 39, a continuance with, who is it, repeat?
I think it was, what's his name? Oh, Nasty.
Nasty, that's right.
What a great time it was to sit with this gentleman and learn about his amazing career. This is a guy who did not just talk the talk and spew a bunch of theory about how to be a good leader and here's what I did and you should follow in my footsteps. He was, from the ground up, he learned to be a follower, and he talks about his failures and his near misses and how he learned from those. So this is a guy who walked the walk. He didn't just talk the talk. He's walked the walk. And
he's the real deal, man.
He is. I like to say it this way. He oozes leadership. When you talk to him, you know that this man is a confident, this isn't the right word, a natural born leader. Because as he says in his book, leaders are made. They aren't born. It comes to some more easily than others, I think.
Hey, I have to ask you a question. This is totally unscripted. So, you said before when we were listening to him, it's obvious. I mean, it's just leadership oozes, from his pores, right? When he's talking to you. How many times did you catch yourself while he's talking directly to us, sitting up straight?
Right. Aye, Admiral.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. The best part of this, though, his book is coming out, Learn How to Lead to Win. And it is 33 stories from his 36 years in the Navy.
Easy read, fast read, because you just don't want to put it down.
No, it's super engaging. It was fun. And I truly wish that I had read this when I was 19 years old and as an officer candidate.
Yeah. Oh,
what a great introduction to here's how you engage people and get them to want to perform for you, but not just for you, for the whole team, to make everybody better. And that's his very prophetic overriding theme in this, is that he didn't become an admiral or a captain of a large deck carrier by going, I'm the guy in charge, do what I say, make it all look good. He did it by becoming a servant. He viewed his leadership as a position of sacrifice and service, not as a position of authority.
Oh, that's spot on. He simply said, you take care of your people and they take care of the mission.
Absolutely truth. And he talks about in the book the ways that he did take care of his people, and he tried to go out of his way. As he said, he went overboard, poor choice of words, to take care of the people who performed well and call them out and hold them up as examples for other members of the ship's crew to go, look, this person went above and beyond. And people then went, oh, I'd like that recognition too. And they went above and beyond. Hey, we're just sitting here flapping our gums. The fact is, this is an amazing book. Learn How to Lead to Win by Admiral Mike Manazir. Nasty. What a fun book.
Easy. Great. Couldn't put it down. Those would be my bullet points for the review.
So without further ado, don't sit on the ejection handle.
Don't do it.
Here's Nasty.
Crew who did that. Thanks a lot. We really appreciated that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fun.
So there I was. Which, as you know, is how all great aviation stories start. Welcome back, Nasty. Well, so I was writing real fast earlier, and I'm going to be honest with you. I can't read my damn writing.
Okay. Well, let me throw in with this, because you talk about in chapter 7, you said begin with a clear vision and failure fuels success. And then you go on and talk about, and I was going to say, because I'm smart, I said, well, you should use not the word failure, but the word setback. And then later in the chapter, you write, quote, when setbacks occur, look for providence and expect it to show up. Like, See how smart I am? I'm psychotic. I knew what you were going to say. But it's so true. I mean, we've all had setbacks in our lives. But my own personal story is such that when I thought the world was just as black and dark as could be, and I'd been kicked in the teeth hard by life, because that's going to happen. You know, enjoy the happy times when you can, because they aren't guaranteed. The kicks in the teeth are guaranteed. And when I look back 20 years hence, oh, wow, okay, all these good things happened in my life that could not possibly have occurred had all these dark things not occurred. So how do you tell somebody to expect providence? Look for providence and expect it. And you, I know you've got a story or two there that where setbacks have occurred in your life, and then you go, wow, okay, there I am. How do you? I guess that story is how you do it, but I don't know. That's kind of an open-ended, tough question, and my apologies up front.
First of all, I won't. I've never had anything as dark happen to me as your experience, Pete, and never. All my setbacks, the ones I write about in the book, have all been professional setbacks. And Kelly and I have managed life. So our personal things that happen, those are just part of life, and you just deal with them as you go. What I detail in the book, starting from almost the beginning, so start with the vision. So one of the 7 habits of highly effective people is start with the end in mind. It's in Covey's book. Mm-hmm. And I did that. And I didn't read any books then. I want to go do that. I'm going to go to the Naval Academy when I was in 8th grade. That's in like chapter 1. And right. When I go to the Naval Academy, I'm going to fly Navy fighters, and no, I'm actually going to fly Tomcats. I stick a sticker of a Tomcat on my helmet before I even flew an airplane in VT-6 primary. I'm going to fly that right there. That's pretty cocky.
Yeah,
get
man.
To flight and earn the #1 spot. I did that, and I did what it took to do that. And I kept the trials and tribulations and curves of life and the ups and downs and the knockbacks and the going. That's what I got to do. I got to fly fighters at Miramar. I got to command an F-14 squadron, and then I didn't want to go nuke, not at all. And a couple of mentors shoved me through that door, ended up going nuke, and then you go, look at all that stuff you did. Well, I'll tell you what. So I walk into, Pensacola, and the very first thing that happens to me is I go to NAMI and they fail my right eye. I'm like, no. I describe in the book how I'm like devastated. There's a couple of points in the book where I talk about being devastated and fall down. My dream is being stopped. And so I go, and the eye doc says, well, go do the rest of your stuff, come back. Of course, I failed blood pressure too, because right after that, my blood pressure's through the roof.
Well, geez, I wonder why.
Yeah, right.
So I come back around, later that afternoon, and I don't know if, he put a thumb on the scale or God said, you're going to see better, but I passed that afternoon, the same eye exam I took in the morning. So I go, okay, good. Now I'm in. I get into flight school. I do great. I go there. I go down into A4s. I fail CQ the first time. Tell the story there, in A4s. And they actually told me, the LSOs, after I, got to the CAT for the last time, said, you're a qual on the radio. You're a qual.
Yeah, that's crazy right there. That part of the story really baffled me.
I still know who those 2 gentlemen are, and I still hold them in a different place in my mind. For doing that to me. But again,
there's a special place in the bilge for those gents, huh?
That's right. And so I got back, and the lieutenant said, you're a disqual. And I go, holy crap. Well, if I didn't disqual, I wouldn't meet Bug.
Right. And I was thinking, I was going to bring that up.
That's it. And so there's problems. I didn't get to meet Bug. I would not have got to meet Bug. And then fast forward a long time after that, I didn't select for a carrier until the last look. And just about killed myself on a motorcycle or at least tried to. And then Kelly and I are mad and pissed off, and I didn't want to go nuke anyway, and this isn't going to work. Well, a year later, I screened for Nimitz. Had I gone the year that I was supposed to, or the one I was worried about, it would have been all shipyard ships. I would not have gone to Nimitz. I got to command Nimitz. I wouldn't have got to do what we did and operate and all that kind of stuff. And so, I spent a year yelling at myself, and that's like the worst ever. But I'll tell you what I did was I got to go to Nimitz, and all those things happened just right. And what the real providential thing during that year before selecting was I got comfortable with not going to a carrier. And Kelly and I talked about what we could do that wasn't a carrier. What could we do to go fun? Got comfortable with leaving the Navy as a captain. And I would pull people in when I did end up succeeding. Then I made admiral out of Nimitz, and I went to the Pentagon. When people would fail selection, I would pull them in and say, "Let me tell you my story." And I would tell them about not selecting. I would tell them about getting comfortable. And to a person, they got themselves comfortable with not selecting. And although some did select, some didn't select on the last look. And I said, "How you doing?" They go, "Sir, I'm good. Me and my wife talked about this. We got prepared for this thing. They're off. We got great plans, and they're off doing that kind of stuff." And so it caused me, and in our military life, we're on the path. We're always on this upward path. And I would dare say in business, people have a path to a CEO or some position in the company. And I guarantee you, unless you're some freaking superhuman, it ain't going to go the way you think it's going to go. And there's going to be setbacks. You keep like, this is what I envision in my mind I'm going to go do. If you keep that first, and then you also realize, and when I try to tell people, there's no way I'm going to tell people, hey, be comfortable with a setback. Providence is going to come around and help you. But just the possibility that things are going to work out okay, and that things are going to work out to the point where they might not have worked out if it had gone the other way. That became apparent to me, where I am totally convinced now in my life that Providence has a hand in my life. We live in our forever home in this house because of the way I got out of the Navy. And there are people who go, "Oh, you shouldn't have got out of the Navy that way. That's unfair. You should be, fill in the blank." And I said, "Dude, look what's happened. Right. Life is absolutely unbelievable. It worked out the way it was supposed to." And I think when you start with the end in mind, and there's a great book written back in 1930 called Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
And there's I need to revise myself in the reading of that book, but it's written about the tycoons back in the day that built America, and it's been revised a couple of times. But it's Think and Grow Rich. So if you think about where you're going to go that way. If you think positively, you're going to succeed. If you think negatively, you're not. And so I just, for some reason, I had a vision in my brain about what I wanted to do, and it's held for 40 some years, and here I am. And I just try to detail that in the book. I've got to do some wonderfully great things, but I will tell you that every single piece of that is God-given providence, fate, meant to happen. But I also thought positively about what I wanted to go do. And you think positively, you're going to succeed in what you're trying to do.
You perfectly answered the question that I inartfully asked, which is, what would Admiral Manazir tell Commander Manazir? As you're stepping through that door to go nukes, and you're going to have some setbacks, and you just answered it. So that's perfect. What's
funny is I was very famous in my reluctance to go nuke power, and it was said that Admiral Nathan pulled off my arms and beat me on the head with them to go through nuke power.
I like that.
A very, very, very reluctant guy who then became like a disciple. And so seriously, when I was in N98 as the Admiral in N98, Naval Reactors sent every prospective nuke going into the program to me to have lunch with them and describe my story to them. And I talked to a whole bunch of skippers who were, kind of looking at nuke, and I told them my story about not wanting to go. Not 100% went. There's a couple of guys that just still said no, and I'm really sorry that they did, but they made the decision themselves with eyes wide open. So I would tell that story all the time, because again, Nimitz, best job in the galaxy ever. And I talk book from the perspective of mentors, and sometimes a mentor has to actually kick the mentee through the door. No, You go to that door. This is what's right for you. Go. Shut up and color. Go.
Hey, how we doing on time? How we doing on time? Because how you doing on time, Nasty?
I got all night. We're at 1:23 recording right now.
Okay. Are you okay, Nasty?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I have a very prophetic question to ask, but before I ask you this question, I have a story to tell, because you triggered a memory when you were talking about the NAMI, with the eye thing. And I read the book, and I thought about this story, and you just reminded me. So the NAMI whammy, that's what we all called it, right? We all had to go through NAMI one last time before we went up to Milton and flew T-34s. So story is about a buddy of mine from the basic school, and we became fast friends when we met, and we ended up both flying Harriers. And I'm gonna tell you his call sign. I'm gonna leave the name out, but you're gonna know who it is, JJ. It's repeat, his call sign's JJ.
Oh yeah.
So this guy was from Iowa. He was a wrestler. He was an engineer. He was really, really smart in the book sense, but sometimes his common sense wasn't all that great. He was all horsepower, no vector kind of guy. And but I love
no
him to
cattle.
death. Yeah. And so he grew up on a farm. He was worried about the hearing test at NAMI, and he said, I did a bunch of shooting out of my ear, and I've been around tractors, and I worry about my hearing, so I knew this going into this. So I am sitting in the hearing booth with my buddy JJ, and it's all competition, it's all competition between Marines. Well, everybody really. And so we're sitting in there, and you hear the whistle, you hear the beeps, and you're supposed to press the button.
Yeah.
So I'm whistling. So I hear the beeps, and then I go, and I see him press the button, and I hear him, and I go, and I see him pressing the button. And when the whole thing was done, they opened the little door to the sound room, and they said, "You," to me. He goes, "You're good. You can go. You failed. You got to do it again." And I looked at JJ and go, "Boy, that sucks, bro."
Oh,
And I could see the sweat coming off of him. And so I waited, and then he came out, and he passed the second time because nobody was in there whistling, right? And so it wasn't until several hours later, after a cold cerveza or two, that I said, "Hey, when you were doing the sound test, did it sound like this?" And he goes, "You son of a bitch!" And then he tried to kill me, of course, but I was faster.
Yeah, surprised it didn't kill you right there.
Right. Figure officially a male member.
I know. Okay. And so I feel pretty good about telling that story now because he can't hurt me.
Right. Maybe he can. You never know.
Oh, that's true. He's waiting for me.
Yeah,
He's probably going
waiting
to
for
come
you.
haunt me tonight. No, JJ was one of our brethren that
he didn't finish.
He gave it all. He gave it all flying the Harrier. Okay, so here's my question for you, Nasty. So did you, when you wrote this book, did you have a goal? Did you get what you wanted out of it? Or what do you want to get out of it? Or did you get what you wanted out of it by writing the book? How's that? What do you want? I guess let me start over. What do you want out of this? What do you want out of this book? Or did you get it by writing it?
No, I didn't get it by writing it. That's part of the journey here. I'm going to tell you a story that was told to me by a person who's become a friend that is already an author. He's an executive coach. His name's Dan Fox, and it's 2 X's on the end of his name. And he said he wrote a couple of books, and he said, "I want somebody 50 years after I've died to see a little 50-cent copy of this dog-eared version of my book at a garage sale, pick it up and get something out of the book."
Yeah.
And great description of what I want. So it's such a complex answer to your question. First of all, I'm shocked, amazed, and so when Repeat says everybody ought to read this book, it's the finest leadership book I've ever seen, wow. I mean, just unexpected. Like
it connects on such a personal level, and I guarantee if you're 19 or 20 and you're reading this book, it will connect on a personal level. You don't have to be somebody who's done a career in the military and in corporate America, and
that's part of the journey, So why did I write the books? Like we talked about, I wanted to pay it forward, and just the phenomenon to me was I had a story for every question. And Ben Carroll, again, Providence, just happened to be connected to him, and he said, "You ought to write a book," and he helped me, and here we are. So that's the catalyst for the book. The reason for it is to pay it forward and to describe what I learned through 36 years in the Navy and these stories, which are, pretty fun to tell, and then connecting leadership to them. and then to hold the book in my hand and realize it's a thing, and to go and to just consider the achievement of actually writing a 300-page book, and that, okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, I held the, I got the proof copy of the paperback, right? I mean,
Holy shit, there it is.
The first one. And I'm like, oh, what? Holy crap. I mean, it's like, okay, it's like my baby, right? So
by the way, we both need signed copies, just saying.
100%. Hardcover signed copies.
Absolutely.
And then there are, Pete's comment, and then Kelly, when I went on travel last week, and Kelly wrote me this quick text about a sweet book, and she grabbed this paperback off the desk, and she was down here doing chores in the basement, putting stuff away, and she said, I just wanted to see what you wrote about me. And 2.5 hours later, and she never reads during the day because it puts her to sleep, she said, this is a sweet book. I love this book. I can't put it down. I mean, that's my wife. So
yeah,
people are making comments about how they can't put the book down, and that chapter you wrote about the twin triggers, one's a blessing and one's a curse, and that's me. How did you know that was me? And there were 2 people that said that.
Yeah.
The feedback that the book is touching people is just makes me awestruck. And I just want, I want, like I said, there is a dearth of human-centered leadership in the world, in business, and the harder things get. I mean, when people used to shake hands and that was their bond and trust and, safety and all those kind of things. I don't know, we become too process oriented or something, but I just found that I was successful in the Navy, and I just want to pass it on to people. So I want to continue to do that and be able to go out, and people will go, oh my gosh, you touched me with that story or that chapter, or the one that they're written. And they're telling stories about the book that causes them to tell stories like you 2 guys are. It's just perfect.
Well, here's the thing: it would be self-serving for Nasty to go to his friends at the Pentagon and go, "Hey, you guys need to make this mandatory." But I guarantee you, once people start reading it, they're going to go, "Oh, you need to read this." I guarantee it. No doubt about it.
I'm not blowing smoke when I say when I read your book, it hit me personally on so many different levels because of personal experiences that I had as a leader, as a member of the military, as a tactical jet guy, and now I'm a civilian. So is I guess we're all civilians now, aren't we? Yeah. And I still use the leadership skills that I developed over my years in the military in my civilian job. And it serves me well.
Absolutely.
And I mentor young and new people in my company that have no leadership experience because they're not going to get it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that triggers both a memory / story and then an idea, Fig. I think I've got an idea for another podcast that if Kelly Manazir would be so gracious.
No.
Nasty's like, that ain't happening.
I'm telling you, as a CO's wife, of a carrier, of a squadron, as a junior lieutenant's wife, this woman has a lot of information to pass along, because I know for a fact that we've got women who listen to this podcast who are, this is your cool stories and all that. Yeah. But I'm telling you, this woman has a lot to pass on to go, you know what? This is not going to be easy. And there's going to be times when your husband's more married to the military than he is to you. And here's how you deal with it. So if you would be kind enough to ask her, if she says no, we get it.
Hey, it doesn't have to be military. My husband's married to the corporation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or married to, we hear so many stories, and this is so true, that one of the spouses subjugates, or whatever that word, subordinates their career to the other one. That says that I put my dreams aside, and I try to. I didn't do this justice in the chapter about balance, but Kelly, whatever dreams she had when she got married to me, she put those aside. And I mean, the type of husband I was at the time, I'm like, we're going this way. And So I do counsel in that chapter to people when they're growing up together, share those dreams and figure out a way to, or at least, bring them out front.
Yeah. Make sure they're copacetic.
Make sure that they're talked about and stuff. I didn't do that well. We succeeded here, but there are,
In spite of your best efforts, is that what you're saying?
You know what were you, 22?
23, 22, yeah.
Yep. We got,
so, I look back at my 21, 22-year-old self, and I don't have the knowledge and wisdom I do now. So we don't,
the point I tried to make and I've moved to plug the phone in because you guys are like draining my power, but
it's repeat. He sucks the energy out of everybody.
The point I make in the book is when you're starting out in life, there's a lot of decisions that are made. And when you're together with somebody else and it's going to be long-term, I mean, somebody's either given a lot. And I think that the spouses, and there are so many examples of spouses of military members who have just put all of their dreams aside, and they either come back to them later or they change them or whatever it is, but they're going on the backs of the military member. And certainly for me, we were going that direction. That's what we're doing. And we're going that way. We're going to go fly fighters and you're going with me. And she just ponied right up. The thing that I'm most proud of is her, like I said, her experience in my first squadron was not good. So she championed the junior enlisted and junior officers. And we had I don't write about this in the book, but when I was CO in Nimitz in 2008, early 2008 on Comp 2X, we lost an HS-6 helicopter. All 5 people died. And Kelly was ashore and she realized that the Commodore, nobody ashore was taking leadership and talking to the family. So she took that role.
Wow.
And she's still, the things that she had to do to bull people into taking care of the families for their, 5 deceased service members and to organize stuff around it and to do all those kind of things. I would tell her her finest hour was as that commanding officer's wife on the carrier, also her hardest. And she shouldn't have been the one to step in, and she did. So, she is that national asset that I talk about, and she just knew when to do that. And so many of our spouses out there, and whether they're, spouses of business or spouses of military, the strongest ones know when to step in and take charge and make sure things are right.
What's the saying? Something about leadership fills a vacuum, or
yep,
something along. Yeah. So it's just, there was a vacuum there, and then a natural leader steps up and goes, "All right, we're time to play ball." God bless her. That is awesome.
You just made me think of something really interesting. We talked about national assets and a couple and stuff. It just dawned on me that this happened in 2008. Been in the Navy since 1981, been married since 1982, been together that whole time operating. And she knew what to do. The leadership ethic that had been born in Mike and Kelly Manazir was double-edged, so Kelly had it and I had it. And it was a partnership in command. And she had commanded at the commanding officer level. So, commanding officer wife, and then on board Sacramento, commanding officer wife, executive officer Carl Vinson, XO wife, and leadership level. So when Nimitz came around, she had honed her leadership style in order to be collaborative with, the things that weren't military necessarily, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
My first wife was terrified when my mother told her, if the commanding officer invites you to a party, you will go. It's mandatory, and you'll wear white gloves, and you'll all this. Like, oh my God, she'd never been around the military in her life. What you haven't said there, but I think is important, is Kelly didn't do this out of a sense of obligation, but out of a sense of gratitude. These people were her friends, right? The OPSO's wife was her friend. The XO's wife was her friend. This was a group of friends, and it natural leadership false not always to the CO's wife. The CO's wife isn't always the best leader. It sounds like she stepped up and was amazing. But this was out of a sense of gratitude to the friends. Hey, I'm going to do this because you people are my friends, and I'm going to organize this and make this happen.
Yeah, I think you got it exactly right. Again, back to human connection. It's not about the position. It's not about where in the position. It's not about being in the position. It's about friendship and connection and empathy, caring. That's where true leadership comes from. All of that. I mean, you listen to, and you guys, the Marines are in it a lot more than, sailors are, and certainly more than I would. But, you listen to those guys who are awarded for bravery, and they said, I did it for the guy to my left and the guy to my right.
That's right.
Yeah.
They all of a sudden, it boiled down to your buddy.
Yeah. There's a real power.
Right on.
Okay. I've got a maybe a little off color question. And if you don't want to answer,
let me take us off the air.
You don't have to. You can say I'll plead the fifth. But this is from your book. But I'm asking for a not book answer.
He's asking for a friend.
Yeah, a friend of mine said one time that Congresswoman or Senator Pat Schroeder had a request. Congressman had a request in for some certain kind of military flyby. And that didn't work out, as we know, as it's written in the book. But how'd that feel? Honestly. It's okay. You don't have to. I already know the answer. It's okay.
I like winning on principle and the principle of the request. And there was a little bit of a sweet edge to it, as you know.
Sure.
And I won't go in. But
what was your rank at the time there, Nasty? Lieutenant Commander?
The way it was articulated in the book was just like you said it. It was so, by the book, and it wasn't political, it wasn't personal. It's just business, ma'am. Right?
Yeah. I will tell you, and the quick story for the people who haven't read the book yet, and I do encourage you to read the book, please. But was that when I was approving all sorts of military activities and support of community relations events,
You were assigned to the Pentagon at the time. You were assigned to the Pentagon, naval, was it all military aviation or just naval aviation?
No, all military aviation. It was a joint job. I got my merit badge by approving air shows. It's pretty.
Merit badge.
I'll do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's epic. And worked for the spokesperson, the ASD for public affairs, and I approved all the schedules, the jet team schedules, the Golden Knights schedules, and any kind of flyover or static display air show.
So we're talking Blue Angels, Thunderbirds, and Golden Knights.
Blue Angels, Thunderbirds, Golden Knights, and then any gray airplane that did anything at an air show.
Yeah, I think when we would go out to Plattsburgh to do a demo, right?
That was going to go through his office, right?
Come through my office,
kind of requests. Yeah.
Yep, and that was pretty fun, and so in comes this request, standard. Here comes the form, and it's to fly over the dedication of this elementary school in Broomfield, Colorado, in 1994. And I'm like, elementary school. And the thing that I had to look for in any of this stuff was is it aviation related, or is it support of one of the 5 holidays, like, July 4th, Memorial Day, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So policy. And it was just a dedication of an elementary school in Broomfield, Colorado. And the complicating factor was there was an Air Force base that was like right there. And so, they were under jet noise anyway. And so the organizers were like, well, we just want a jet to fly over our school at the same time, like to honor the thing. And so I'm like, cool, but no. And then there's kind of a funny story I don't even refer to in the book. But anyway, my GS7 secretary gets a phone call, and she puts her hand over the phone and said, it's Congresswoman Schroeder for you. And I said, their office? No, her. Okay, I'm busy. I'm a lieutenant commander of the Navy, never talked to a congressperson in my life, and she's a very direct woman. And she said, Commander, I understand you disapproved of flyover for Broomfield, Colorado elementary school. And it was pretty new to my desk. And I said, yes, ma'am, I did. And she said, can I ask why? And I said, well, it's not in accordance with the da-da-da. I started to go, and she said, so it's a policy. And I said, yes, ma'am, it's a policy. So I want to ask for an exception to policy. Can I do that? And I said, yes, ma'am, you can. And I have to run it up to the ASD. And she said, I want to ask for an exception to policy. And I said, yes, ma'am. And so I put the policy together with the argument and this huge package that we were supposed to put together that was like a cover sheet on top of a cover sheet on top of the argument on top of a cover sheet. And it was a very, very, very strong argument for denial. And I said, absolutely not. And I was fervent. And I took the thing up to the spokesperson. And I said, and he said, and you know, what's funny is being more senior in Washington, D.C., I might have had a different perspective than a no kidding lieutenant commander fighter pilot who is just like, look, I'm going to no. And
no.
So maybe I'd have been a more political senior officer, or, well, how does this play for the department? Or how does the Congresswoman's vote benefit? And I didn't think of any of that stuff. It's like, no, this doesn't in accordance with policy. And so backed me up and said, this is no, sure, we shouldn't, because we set a precedent, blah, 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 blah. And he denied it. And so I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. What's really funny is in the middle of this whole process, Peter Coors called me, like, Peter Coors beer.
Yeah.
And he called, and I literally didn't connect the name, and I don't know who he is. And I go,
why would you?
I just didn't. It didn't connect with me that this is
no, right. I mean, I get it. You get a phone call. Hey, this is Peter Coors. Is this the guy? And you're like, yeah, I'm the guy.
Hi, and sir, hey, Peter, can I ask who you're representing? And it like knocked him off. He didn't know what to say to me. He didn't know how to answer the question. He's like,
company,
know who I am, kind of thing. So yeah, that one. It was kind of fun. But the story in the book is not that I overcame that. It's what I stuck to my guns. And there's another example about turning off the Blue Angels. And much like the LSO story, when I was lieutenant commander and sure of my authority, I stuck to my guns, and I wasn't afraid of making the decision for ramifications. And I knew what the technical basis was, and I recommended what I thought was right. And had I thought about or not wanted to make a decision or was afraid I wasn't going to get promoted, I might not have done what I thought was right. Now, ultimately, they can overturn what you say, but I did what I thought was right. And the example I try to use is even somebody as high as a congresswoman, saying, I want an exception to policy. I still did what I thought was right. And it just so happens that the decision went my way. And I thought that was pretty cool. So,
so you just kind of triggered a thought here. You said that this elementary school was near an Air Force base where it was constant jet noise anyway. I'm thinking, hey, you're in the landing pattern. You ask for a exit and re-entry. If you happen to fly over the elementary school at a certain time, who's to know? I mean, for crying out loud, why did it have to be so hard? Okay. Separate subject.
Military life, if we just done something without asking permission, got the effect, right? Okay.
Right. Well, that's the Navy Marine Corps way.
Did you fly over the elementary school? Yes, sir, I did. I was in the pattern, and I was going out for the break. And when I came back, that's how the pattern worked out.
That's right.
In fact, we had a section of Harriers fly over my first wife's funeral. So,
Well, weird.
What is that? I don't recall running that by the Pentagon.
Must have been in the area. That's all I can figure, right?
Yeah.
All right, I had a really intelligent question to ask, and I started talking about that. No, it was we were going down the. I know what it was. So when you graduated from the Naval Academy, and you went to flight school, did you? Well, I think there's a better way to ask this.
Oh boy.
No. This is not a touchy-feely question. I mean, it's not something that Nasty's going to be embarrassed to answer, or I'm not asking him to. As far as we know, when you started as an ensign, you never knew how it was going to end, right? I mean, you didn't know if you were going to do
lieutenant
8 years, 10 years, you never knew how it was going to end, right?
Yeah, you talk
just,
about seeing the future. Did you see 2 stars?
Yeah. So tell me, because I'm going to tell you from my personal, I didn't know how it was going to end. I thought I'd found my forever home in the Marine Corps, and I didn't know where the end was. And then eventually it ended not because of the Marine Corps, but because of the woman I was married to. Obviously, I picked wrong. I didn't pick as well as you did, Nasty.
I won't judge. I wanted to go fly. I wanted to go fly. I wanted to fly as an ensign, as a lieutenant JG, as a lieutenant commander, whatever. I just wanted to go do that. In fact, I think the 8-year point, they were offering the bonus to pilots. At the time, it was like $36,000 total, and now it's, I don't know, something like 100 or something.
It's dumb. I know.
I just took the bonus and went, well, I'm not going anywhere. Sure, I'll take that money. I'm not going anywhere. And I just went right through it. And no, I have never, I just wanted to go do whatever the next thing was. And it became apparent, okay, I'm going to go, I'd like to be a commanding officer of a fighter squadron so I can continue to fly.
When did you have that thought? I want to be a commanding officer of a fighter squadron. Were you an ensign? Were you a lieutenant?
No. When I got through my first squadron, got the slot to Top Gun, started getting pretty good fit reps that
fitness
were
reports.
Fitness reports, annual performance reviews that were targeting like you can be a commanding officer. Oh, I can be a commanding officer and do this and lead people flying fighters. Oh, that's a cool idea. And then leading and then into department head and going, okay, so I need to be the best department head I can. And it just sort of coalesced right around the lieutenant commander timeframe when I really, really thought that I enjoyed doing what I was doing. So, being an LSO and being out there, going to the RAG and being an instructor and leading people in a squadron and sort of coalesced there. All right, so now I'm going to be a fighter squadron CO. Good. A couple of times right around lieutenant commander, I was like, you know what, is this it? Like, yeah, maybe I'll get out of the Navy. How are the airlines? Or, I'm looking around, and then I'd get re-energized again and come back in. Not come back in, but stay in, and it's like, okay, kind of cool. And Kelly never, I never had any kind of pressure to, you need to be home now or anything like that, so we're just kind of in, and I just kept, there's another, now I'm a skipper, and then I go to the joint job because that's, good for, flag officer and, stuff like, and then the nuke thing happened, which was, a cataclysmic event. And then I end up in okay, now we're going to go command a ship. Well, hell, I'm not going to new school without trying to command a carrier. And so then, there I was. And, hey, now that I'm here as a carrier, pretty good chance going to be a flag officer. Okay, I'll go do that. And I just kept going. And okay,
you never knew how it's going to end.
No. And in fact, I was upwardly mobile when I got out of the Navy, and I was, and so how that whole thing happened and then here we are. So I think it's, that whole thing about, start with the end in mind. I knew I wanted to fly. I get out of the Naval Academy by going to fly. That's what motivated me. But I never had like, I'm going to go be a 2-star or I'm going to go and
right. Okay.
And I don't think I know I was trying to be a commanding officer, do the things right to be a commanding officer, do all the right jobs, but I didn't like.
Yeah, but you didn't hit that level. You didn't hit that level of thought until later.
Right.
Until you were a lieutenant commander type.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I do remember. I'll say this. When I was at the change of command, I was an instructor at the RAG, and the best commanding officer I ever worked for was that commanding officer. And he took command of the RAG, and I remember asking him at the reception after the change of command, "Wow, you're it. You're the guy. This is your squadron. You know." Did you ever see yourself? And his wife was standing right there next to him. Did you ever see yourself as the guy? He's like, yeah. And Patty's like, oh, yeah, we knew from. I'm like, wow, okay. I just said her name, but yeah, and I don't say that in a disparaging way. They had that vision in mind from the beginning, and he finished up, I think, at Pax River. Great guy. Admire him as the day is long. True Marine, attack pilot, but gentleman. You'd never know if you met him out at the Walmart. You'd never go, oh, that guy's a killer attack pilot. But
I
pretty
I'll
amazing.
here's the thing that I talk about it in Emotional Drivers in the very first chapter of the book, and I've got a fairly significant imposter syndrome, and I never pictured myself in like the role that I see. If I have a mentor or somebody that is like a role model, like, oh my God, look at that guy. And I had so many of those people, and they were squadron commanding officers and CAGs, like Tom Kilkline and Zap Zlatiper and Street Chanik and Rat Willard, who was in Top Gun. And these guys that I went, wow. Okay,
Right.
I will be those guys, but I never thought I could be those guys, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah,
You
totally.
talk about
Yeah.
that in the book very well, in fact. So that's a great chapter talking about, the imposter, as it were. I don't belong
right.
in the room.
Yeah.
I am an ant among bulls in this room. What, were you kidding me? And yet you do belong there.
That has carried throughout and I think it started to go away at the end of my career. And for the readers that go, well, duh, you're a 2-star. No, seriously. I mean, I really had, in the way that I was brought up or whatever it was, there's something in there that says you're not as good as those people are. And it wasn't a denigrating, you're not as good. It was more of a humbling, you're not as good. And I actually am so thankful for that because it keeps me humble. I never expect to be the 2-star or the CEO or, I just,
That guy.
I'm happy to
The
be
guy.
here
You're the guy.
You're that guy.
and to be
You're the old
surprised
salt.
and delighted. Yeah. Old salt, like right here, sitting in.
I love that.
In
I love
all
that
seriousness.
cover.
So let me ask you. So there was a thrill the first time you went solo in a T-34.
Yeah.
What was the first time you were solo in the captain's chair in the Nimitz? Like looking around. Did you look? Tell me. You can tell me.
Well, it's got to be the
Just
same
us
kind of
three.
shit. Only
You looked
only
out left and
magnified
looked to the
times
right and went,
by
hey,
1,000.
I'm the guy.
Right?
Well,
Holy shit, I'm the guy.
by the time, yes, I'm the guy. This is my ship. It's really funny. I tell you a couple of
Right.
points. When I really actually realized it, Rick Wren was the CEO. Bruce Klingon was the first CEO of Vinson. I got a lot of training under him, but Rick really gave me the Vinson when I was XO.
Okay.
And when 9/11 was happening, we were launching strikes. He was like a 24/7 CO, and it was obviously going to kill him. So I had the night page. And so I would sit in the chair and control flight operations at night as the XO, and he would go to bed so he can manage the daytime planning cycles that he was in. And that right there was like, okay, I'm the guy. That was really empowering. The path that they put you on in the Navy nuclear power program, by the time you get to be the CO of the carrier, you already know how to drive.
You've been the guy.
I've been the guy.
Okay.
And then when I had the deep draft Sacramento, so the first time I come down with Traps Cloyd, who is the skipper before me, we turn over Sacramento, we get underway, and we're coming off the roads of Coronado, and we go on deployment with Carl Vinson. I'm her supply ship. We do a change of command, and
Underway.
now I am tied up 10 hours alongside Vincent, transferring ammo and fuel, mostly ammo. 10 hours of ammo transfer. Oh man, I'm the guy. I now have my own ship, and it's like, wow. And Gar, and it's like, okay, that's when it really hit home. But I'll tell you that I got used to looking out the bridge of the carrier, put my feet up on the dash, the plexiglass table there, out over the bow, totally familiar sight. Then you go down on the pier and walk alongside that 1,000-foot ship. That thing's huge. Yeah. That's when holy crap.
It ain't quite so fast at 600 or so big at 600 knots, but
Yeah.
When you're walking beside her, huh?
We're walking beside it.
So hey, there's one other story here. And there's a guy, and he knows who he is, and you know who he is. And I don't think anybody else does. And you wandered onto the bridge one night, and he was doing his damnedest, and he was probably running 16, 17-hour days, maybe some shit going on at home. And I think it was 3 times you asked him, "Are you asleep?"
Yeah.
And you the title of the chapter is Measure the Cost, or What's the Cost?
What's the cost?
Yeah. But the cost to him was a new pair of skivvies at least.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit, and what's the decision? You had a choice to hang him from the highest yard arm, and had it been anybody beyond the two of you, I don't think you would have had as much of a choice as you did when it was betwixt the two of you.
Yeah. So
what a horrible feeling for him, and what a horrible feeling for you. I think probably more for you.
Well, no, it wasn't. I'll be really totally honest. It wasn't horrible for me, but I could feel the empathy and what was horrible to him. Imagine the commanding officer waking you up. And that's, I mean, I owned that feeling in my head. So for the readers, again, go read the book. It's a pretty cool story. And what's funny
it's an awesome story. It's an outstanding story. Every one of these stories is outstanding. Yeah. Read the damn book. Don't be a dick.
Do it now. Go buy it now.
And write a review, please. On
you cheap bastard. Buy it now.
Listen. It's
available on Amazon,
and it's an easy read. Right. The way it's written, it hooks you. Every chapter hooks you. You've read the chapter by the time you realize you've been hooked and read it. Yeah. And then you're
Learn
like, okay,
how to lead to
one.
win. It's available on Amazon. And even if you're just trying to raise a second grader, truly. Okay, I'm sorry. We relinquished the floor.
Sorry, Nasty.
Seriously.
Sorry.
You wander up onto the bridge
Please
on
continue.
a dark and stormy night, or a dark night on the Nimitz.
Stuff, and you guys are doing it for free, so that's good. Dark and stormy night, and what's funny is this little story stuck in my head as one to tell, and amongst all the, I got like 45 stories. We cut it down to 33.
Oh, gosh.
This one stuck in my head to tell, and because of the lesson that I thought it could teach, and born through my entire Navy career was this idea of, I'm going to do what I think is right. My sense, I could be a lieutenant, an ensign, a lieutenant commander, an admiral, strike group commander, mission commander in the airplane. I'm going to turn the ship out of the OTSR. Goes, I'm going to do what I think is right. Me, even though the rule book says you should do this. And maybe that's what caused me to write the story. I'm not exactly sure why this one stuck out, but anyway, so when you're the captain of a ship, you're always sleeping with one eye open anyway. And I got taught by Admiral Black Nathman that, if you wake up in the middle of the night, something probably woke you up. Pull on your coveralls, go out to the bridge and just look at things. And so
really?
I did. Yeah.
You got to sit. There's a sixth sense. Get your ass out of bed and go look. And
go look. There's something. Okay. Just go ahead and do it. If there's nothing, then at least you would have walked out in the middle of the night when nobody's around. Like Fig talking about going into 7 o'clock or 2 a.m. or whatever it is. Holy
shit! The old man's here. Right?
Yeah. And so the one thing I did on Nimitz a lot, and I started on in Sacramento, was when you walk onto the bridge as the captain, the bosun mate would announce, "Captain's on the bridge," or the quartermaster would, "Captain's on the bridge." If I saw a change in the team, I debriefed. Wait till the watch was over, and I debriefed. And I said, "You do not change your demeanor or your procedures or anything based on whether I'm on the bridge or not. You guys need to act like I'm on the bridge all the time." So I looked for that. And so, I would have this thing about walking on the bridge. Well, this particular, when you walk onto a darkened bridge in an aircraft carrier, there's a little short passageway that then opens to the broader bridge, and it's very dark. And so at night, if the quartermaster sees you, he will say it. But the chances of him seeing you from there, especially when you don't just walk on and go, "Hey, boats, how's the coffee?" And then they, "Captain's on a bridge," and everything kind of sparks up. I just kind of walked, and I wanted I wanted to see what was going on. I had my hands in my pockets. I still remember. I get my eyes accustomed to the blackness, and it's looking outside. And it's really black outside, as it always was. I look out, kind of, I can see through the windows. I'm still standing back, and I'm looking around, and I'm kind of counting where everybody is. And there's the helm right next to me and the lee helm. Nobody sees me there. And there's the conning officer, junior officer of the deck, and they're watching through the Polaris to see where we're going. The quartermaster's over under the red light. Coffee's brewing. It smells like coffee. I mean, it's just absolutely wonderful. Looking for the OD. And I realize as I look around, I turn to the left, and behind my captain's chair is like a air conditioning unit against the bulkhead there. And there is a figure leaning against the air conditioner unit against the wall. So they're a little bit ahead of me to the left, and like inches ahead of me, and about, a foot and a half to the left. And so I'm looking, and I recognize the shape of his face. I know the guy pretty well, working with me for a long time. And I go and stand next to him, and I expected he'll go, kind of look over to see the presence, and he doesn't. And so I'm like, OD, no response. OD, no response. Are you asleep? No response. Are you asleep? He wakes up. And even in the dark, I saw that guy turn about ghost white.
He's glowing white.
And like, cat, and then he realized that I caught him asleep, and which is, as we relate in the book, is a UCMJ offense, to sleep on watch, and the OD responsible for safety of the ship, So anyway, nobody but us two standing there. And for some reason, because I am who I am and what I believe in, I just lectured him, and I said, you know what you did. I forget what I said, but he was suitably chased. And I think that he didn't sleep for probably another 2 weeks. He just didn't.
The adrenaline, the piss shot to the heart alone.
Piss shot woke him up for probably a month. And, he is a very good officer. He was an engineering officer, and he did a very good job. And like I relate in the book, 14, 16-hour days and standing watch. So there was a little bit of empathy and understanding. I certainly knew how he felt, and his professional life. And we had just frocked him to commander. And if it becomes permanent after a while, if nothing happens, and I could take that away and then also bust him, take him to Casablanca and basically go from commander to lieutenant. And I didn't. And I said, look, between you and me, this can't happen again. You're one of those professional ODs I have. And if the team knows you're over here sleeping, blah, blah, blah. Yes, sir. So he continued. And at my change of command, he wrote me a special note that just thanked me for not destroying his career and his life and the whole thing. And I just for some reason felt it to do. So
good for him. And
I
good
did.
for you. Outstanding. That's the type of leader, right? I mean, that like I said, you ooze leadership.
Yeah.
Well, if for instance, if I'd have walked over and if
you'd have made it public, though, your hands would have been more tied, right?
Hands tied, or if somebody told me and said, "Hey, Captain, I got to tell you, I found the officer of the deck asleep on watch. I have to do something now. The order and discipline of the unit requires me to do something." And so I would have had to, and that came up many, 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 many times in my commanding officer tours, is what to do for good order and discipline. And this particular one was my choice. And I chose.
Where is he now? Is he got stars? Did he get out? Do you know?
I think he probably ended up getting out of the Navy. He was on kind of a career path that probably didn't, the things that he had done probably didn't get him command and therefore anything after command. Just the way that it worked out for him. So no, I didn't create an admiral. There are a couple of people though that have reminded me that I took them to captain's mast, gave them a chance, and they became chiefs and then commissioned officers and had just retired after 20 some years. And something I did, that went their way during mast allowed them to go and succeed in the Navy. So,
or Larry the Cable Guy.
Right? That's the Cable Guy. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great story in the book, right? He met Larry the Cable Guy, so to speak.
Yeah,
and then he kicked your ass on your first engagement.
He did. And here, I'm going to tell you guys a special thing on our podcast. If your listeners go to the website, I think today, but it's like today or like tomorrow, and they get on the website, and in the contact page, they request the free audio story. It is me reading a story about the cable guy.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Chapter 18. So we do have an audio book coming out. It's just taking a little while to edit it, because I made so many mistakes when I was reading it. But
New
chapter
lips.
is a link that can be sent to anybody that requests it. And it is the chapter 18 I narrated about the cable guy. And it's my favorite story in that book. It's my favorite.
Awesome.
Did you read the audio book? Did you
did.
read the? Oh man,
I did.
that's awesome. Okay.
Yep. And you know what?
Audible.com. Learn how to lead to win.
Tell a story pretty easy. Try to write a story pretty hard. Now read what you wrote like you're reading it really hard.
Yeah. For you Air Force guys, it's not learn how to read to win. It's learn how to lead to win.
Hey, what a great segue, Repeat. So this is my next question, Nasty. Do you so I have a lot of personal experience with this, but do you know, I mean, have you had the I don't want to say this the wrong way. In naval aviation, there is the way you're brought up, the way you think, the way you train, right? We have the OpNavs 3710, which is about 3/4 of an inch thick, which is our operating rules. And then we have
train
the
like you
NATOPS
fight,
manual.
fight like you train.
And then we have maybe a squadron or a wing SOP, which is 3 or 4 pages. Yep. Well, in the Air Force, they have publications on top of publications. So you triggered this thought when you were just talking about something, or something you said in your last story triggered this thought. So difference between naval aviation and say Air Force flying, the theory, the mentality. I can put it into Reader Digest words, but I kind of want to hear your take on it.
Yeah. So first of all, I have learned through a long career, and this is a dead serious statement. I was a very tribal guy as a fighter pilot. If you weren't a fighter guy, you weren't nothing, right? So light attack guys, medium attack guys, Air Force guys.
Whoa. Okay, podcast's over. It's all right.
No, he's not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. If you weren't if you're not a fighter pilot, you're not shit.
Yeah. Well, so I learned, especially, how to look. Everybody's doing a great job. So here's the way I characterize it always. And the Air Force, and I'm not denigrating the way to do this. The way the Air Force -1 is written, it is commonly referred to by uninformed people like me that written down is what you can do. You're allowed to do these things. And if it's not written there, you can't do it.
Right.
The Navy, NATOPS, OpNav 3710 is what you can't do. Right. If it's not written there, you can do anything.
It's restrictive. It's a permissive manual, not manual.
If you deviate in any way from anything, you just need to be able to explain why you did it.
Yeah.
If it makes sense, you're good. If it doesn't, you're probably
I would
not.
Closer in the Navy system, if it's not prohibited, you're good.
Right. Yes.
You can do it. If you didn't violate a flight rule or any kind of regulation, and it's not prohibited in the OpNav 3710 or supporting documents, you're good. In the Air Force, you had to do what it has in the -1, and so there are different ways to approach flying. And I think the Navy way is a lot better because you knew what you couldn't do and everything else was good to go.
So I can say from personal experience that you are 100% correct. I went from being a full up round
naval aviator,
greased, honed, killing instrument, to a handcuffed, chastised. And so here's the best part. We deploy to combat as under Air Force rules, and they waive everything.
Oh,
And I said, okay, well, isn't this ironic?
If you don't.
We can't train because I fought them all the way. Why don't we train this way? Well, because we can't do that. As soon as you go to a contingency operation, they waive all these rules. And I said to him, so this is safe because, we don't train like this. So now you're telling guys it's okay to do this shit that they've never done. And anyway, I take great exception to that. I'm a traditionalist, as you know, and the naval service is very high on tradition. And I think the way that the naval aviators are trained is the way all aviators should be trained. And I fight this on a daily basis at the airline I work for as well, because I'm in standards. I'm in flight standards. And there's a lot of Air Force interpretation to some things.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Enough said on that.
So thinking back to that, I talked earlier about something that I had a statement in corporate and a meet and a wave leadership and that sort of thing. I'll tell this quick story, and then we'll start worrying about how we're going to wind this up and get out of here. Because one of the things we do, I fly long haul, halfway around the world in some cases, 12, 14, 16-hour flights, worst case. And one of our requirements is that we communicate as the captain to the rest of the crew. Here's the sleep schedule. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's what I expect from you to, and you hit this in the book over and over and over again. Communicate. Set your expectations, tell them what you expect, give guidance, remove obstacles, that sort of thing. But, so the other thing is there was a time when people would show up for a flight. For instance, I live in New England. I'm based in the middle of America. I could commute from New England to the middle of America and then take off on a 14-hour flight. And there were times managers who would go, "Oh, you can't do that. You just violated FARs." Well, no, actually I haven't, but okay. You're removed from the flight without pay. Okay, well, let's see how it goes. So we have to communicate the sleep schedule, among other things. So my email typically begins with, here's the flight, here's the sleep schedule I want to set. And as the pilot in command, I will expect each of you to show up with a properly documented sleep log that's either notarized, bank certified, or signed by a managing director or above. These notary expenses may be expensed to your monthly expense report. And also, as the pilot in command, I will approve the sleep schedule at showtime. I may change it at showtime, and then once again, airborne, I may change it again because that's my authority. And, yada, yada. Here endeth the sarcasm. All right, guys, look, we got a long flight. Let's take care of each other. If, here's what I want to do. If that doesn't work for you when you get there, let me know, and we'll work it out the best way we can. Because you know what? We're crossing the ocean together in a tube doing 500 miles an hour. And, oh, by the way, if we aren't looking out for each other, no one else is going to. So I can tell you on more than one occasion I've shown up, I've had guys going, so Captain, I was sitting in bed when I got your email the other night, and I started reading it, and I stopped and I went, "Oh my God, honey, listen to this bullshit. Look at this. This asshole wants me to have a sleep schedule, and he wants me like to have it was written by an attorney. He wants me to, oh my God. Oh, thank God." It's like, you know what? Lighten the mood, set the expectation, but then lighten the mood. Go, look, we're all in this together. And that's, I think that's why I say your book, Nasty, hits home on so many points. I failed my first aeromedical exam because of my right eye. My first unsat in the training command was at the boat in the A4. It's one setback after another here and there. I was riding right along with you going, son of a bad word. I've been there. I've done that. Right. Yeah. I'll say for you, son of a bitch. Yeah. But the human connection, and I've tried to carry that forward into today. And people, I'm telling you, read this book. You're going to have so much fun with it. If you're 19 years old, you're going to get nuggets out of this that are going to carry forward and make you successful in life. If you're 30 years old and you're a middle manager working your way up, you're going to go, oh, here's how I can do this better. Right. And if you're a 2-star admiral looking to go to 4 stars, you're going to go, okay, I've got some I've got some of these. I've got 89% of these are my same experiences. And here's what I can do to make it better. This is an amazing book. I can't recall a time I've had more fun just sitting here bullshitting with a guy at the bar.
Right. And it has been like that, Nasty. And thank you for making it feel like that.
Well, thanks, you guys. This is so cool, and I'm honored and humbled that you spent so much time with me. But you said something just now that is the tenor of the book is actually written as if we're trying to make it as if we are sitting at the bar telling stories.
Yeah.
Ask you, what did you learn here, or what did you do there? Let me tell you a story. That is exactly the vision that we had. And I think in there it says somewhere that in maybe the introduction, we're sitting at lunch.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, sorry. That's me. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going, boss.
I see that. That's the hook coming, you guys. So anyway.
It isn't. Look, if you want to stay, I'll turn the music off. I swear to God, I can edit the music out.
It's good. The notion of the book, though, even though the politically correct thing, sitting over lunch, it's literally at the bar over a bourbon.
Yeah.
And but I'm so energized by how you guys have gotten the book, because that's all of the messages, the undertones, the stories, they're all towards what we're talking about here. And it's so neat to hear that individual stories resonated with each of you. That's the idea, is it resonates and cause people to go, oh yeah, that, and they write something down. And I'm not anybody special. I fumbled my way through stuff, almost screwed up really a bunch of times, almost killed myself a bunch of times, almost crashed national assets together. And
glad that never happened to me.
No, I mean, it's just, we have to be able to be vulnerable and be able to describe people how we got to where we are, and the whole, and that's it. That's why the book's there. That's why I wrote it.
Nasty, you are a national asset. Thank you. And here's the thing, you triggered a thought. When I read the book, I already said so many of the stories that you told triggered stories of my own that made me think about that sort of thing. And what your book's going to do for, anybody that reads it is going to do the same thing it did for me and repeat. So thank you. And that's awesome. And thanks for coming on the show again, man.
Thank you.
Hey, wait, I got one more question.
I got a question before your question, Fig. Any chance your bride will come wave to us?
I think she's gone. She's gone up to bed.
Good for her.
Okay, Nogs. I wrote down here. No, I've been taking notes all night and everything. Nogs. Did you do any flying on Nogs in the like in the Super Hornet or any of that, or no?
I don't even know what a Nog is.
Night vision device.
Oh,
optical. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What are you, nuts?
I never did that in a Super Hornet because you know what? I didn't fly at night.
Nimitz arriving.
Yeah, daytime only. But we full blown night vision goggle quals in Tomcat's Fat Gate. That was a new world for me. It's like,
yes,
oh my God.
Yes, it was the Bombcat, right? The Bombcat. So you did Nogs, the whole deal. Okay,
yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah,
all right.
That was epic. And it's like, oh my God, I can see. So yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And then when you didn't have the Nogs and you were flying at night, you were like, what the hell are we doing here?
What do you mean I can't do this on the tanker? What do you mean I can't use this to land on the boat? That's prohibited. I'm putting them down.
I know that's right.
Ask it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Nasty.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you for your service. Thank your bride for her service, and your kids for their service. Whether they didn't choose it,
nope,
but they gave it. So to them as well.
Thanks, you guys. This is awesome. I just love the time. Thank you so much.
This time has been amazing. Again, for the Air Force, not learn how to read to win. It's for everybody else. Learn how to lead to win. This is a life-changing book, I promise. Our other sponsor, RobinsBirdBrainDesigns.com. Go to our website, sothereIwas.us. We've got a glossary. We've got links to the video of this entire live stream. A whole lot of fun tonight. To every one of you who has a sailor, a soldier, an airman, a guardsman, a Marine on deployment, thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you to all the military members for your sacrifice. And in the meantime, stay safe and check 6.
Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. Cause when you're going down the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
Yeah. Like the song says, it's over.
Yeah, I know. But it's his ship now, his command. He's in charge. He's the boss, head man, top dog, big cheese, a head honcho.